The legend continues. It's the Law Tiger Peoria TT, presented by Country Saloon. We've got left and right hand turns, the famous jump, but absent the man who has won this race 14 years in a row. It's wide open.
Flat track motorcycle racing. Just to recall what it was like in the beginning, let us take a quick look back at the turn of the century. It takes stout lads like them to go for this kind of competition. It's trials like this that have made the two-wheel little giant the tough piece of mechanism it is today. Take a look at this motorcycle.
Each of today's races draws large crowds from all over the country.
It's a revolution.
Testing and bettering, testing and perfecting. Right on, cowboy.
The wave of the future.
Got a good start anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see how hot I was the whole time.
Every chance I get to race now, I enjoy it.
What will you do? How hard are you willing to go? Will you let fear win? Or will you rise
Big one for Jared Mees.
and find victory?
Shayna Hexter takes the win.
It changes the way we look at racing.
Briar Bauman has led the AFT Twins points all season long. Yet another push, though, coming from defending series champ Jared Mees, who edged him for the win. But that was our last race on a mile track. This will be totally different. It's a TT, so a focus goes on JD Beach, who has won 2 races on these types of tracks this year. In our singles division, Dalton Gauthier maintains a points lead, albeit slim in that division. But you got to watch the wild card. Ryan Sipes only races the TT events, and he's always fast on them. And Dallas Daniels, the 16-year-old rookie, already making huge strides since turning pro. Maybe he can master this unique racetrack. Jason Wygant, joined by ace wheelman AJ Allmendinger. Kristen Beat will be reporting from the racetrack. Nothing quite like racing at Peoria. But first, let's look at our point standings.
AFT Twins point standings. Briar Bauman leading. He's been leading all year. Jared Mees, 27 back. Momentum after winning the Sacramento Mile, but has to be careful. Bronson Bauman, he's been consistent all year, has a victory. If Jared Mees falters, Bronson Bauman could easily catch him.
Okay, now let's put the focus on the Peoria track.
A historic racetrack. It's a TT. Left and right turns. This year, going back to the old track style, one jump. This race has been won 14 times in a row by Henry Wiles. Because of injury, we are going to have a new winner.
Yeah, Wiles not competing, so who can take advantage? Well, they're going to have to adapt to the conditions because we had a ton of rain leading into the race. Luckily, the folks from Caterpillar came out, and this equipment has helped a bunch with sorting out what was a quagmire and turning it into what we think is going to be a pretty good racetrack.
Got to make this thing raceable in the shortest amount of time as we can. So there's about, depending on where you're at, there's about 2 to 3 inches of muck on top. We're going to scrape it off, put it here in the middle, and then get what's left raceable. We're going to do our best to make it sealed and get it nice and tight so it can withstand some rain. We've got a 623 wheel tractor scraper coming in. I believe a 972 wheel loader is also on the way. 735 articulated truck. We got a 259 right here, and then we'll have the 140 motor grader. So we've got some of Caterpillar's best operators and some of our best equipment here.
With 14 victories at this track consecutively, there is no doubt he is the king of Peoria, Henry Wiles. Every year we come here wondering who can beat him. We did not think the win streak would end like this. He's not going to be able to line up due to injury. For more, let's send it to Kristen.
Henry Wiles holds an impressive 14-race win streak here in Peoria. However, a displaced fibula has him sidelined this week. And what ultimately led to your decision to sit out? Because I know this morning you were kind of on the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's just I got in touch with the doctor, and what he was worried about the most wasn't actually the bone, but was the incision. Ultimately, he left it up to me. I could race and risk that, or I could take this weekend off and come back quicker. So as hard as it is to do, I chose to just take this one off and sit out this one and try to get back sooner than later.
You've made a name for yourself here in Peoria, but what does it feel like knowing now at this point someone else will win tonight's race in the Twins class?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm honestly excited to see somebody else win here, because I remember exactly what it was like to win my first Peoria TT. And this is one of the premier races on the circuit. This is one that you definitely want to win. This is one I definitely wanted to win my first time. So I feel very fortunate to have the streak here, and I feel very fortunate to have won here at all. Because when you look in the Peoria program of all the legends and the greats that have won here, you don't look into a Peoria TT. So I knew that the first time I won at Peoria, and I'm going to be very excited to see somebody else do just that today.
Well, let's see who some of the candidates are. It's the AFT Twins presented by Vance and Hines. Semi-race number 1, J.D. Beach. We know the road racer is fast on these types of tracks. He led early.
J.D. Beach would lead the first 5 laps, but a small mistake right here in the last corner would allow Bronson Bauman to get around him, hold him off for semi-win number 1.
And Jake Johnson on the Estenson Yamaha, also an ace on TT tracks. Solid run for him, finishing 3rd ahead of Vanderkoy on the Harley. Here's semi 2, a great jump for the 14, your points leader, Briar Bauman. Robert Pearson gonna try the outside, too far outside.
Briar Bauman would lead off of turn 1 over the jump. This is not what the rest of the competition wants to see, especially Jared Mees, that only gets to 3rd.
Pearson hangs tough for 2nd. Davis Fisher behind Mees. He's been rallying as of late. Good run for 4th ahead of Colby Carlisle, former champ in the singles division. So as of now, at least, preparing ourselves for a Bauman Brothers showdown in the AFT Twins main event. As far as our singles class, we'll sit down with Ryan Sipes, who won the last TT race we've held. However, he's never raced at Peoria. We'll see how quickly he can learn it when we return. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. If you go down, call Russ Brown. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by Cat Rental Store, the official heavy equipment supplier of American Flat Track. Roof Systems AFT Singles class, here are your point standings.
Dalton Gauthier leading, but Dan Bromley, Mr. Consistency, doesn't have a victory, but seems like he's in the top 5 every week. Mikey Rush, he's 10 back. He's had an up and down last few races. All 3 of these riders are going to be the ones contending for this championship.
And every point will count, so when you get a spoiler in the mix, well, that just raises the stakes. Ryan Sipes, Mr. Versatility. He's won a Supercross this year. He's won a hill climb this year. He's won the TT the last time he raced one at Buffalo Chip. There's literally nothing he cannot do on a motorcycle. But can he conquer Peoria?
My flat track season so far has been a little bit up and down. Definitely started off kind of rough and not feeling super comfortable, trying to learn some new things at Daytona and Arizona that I'd never done before.
Sipes had a stock front brake on his bike, and he didn't realize the pavement would be that much more taxing.
And those first 2 races were pretty rough, so I really wanted to focus on, Springfield. I knew that place would be good for me, and then it was good for me until it wasn't, and I crashed.
Oh, Sipes throws it away! Everything was going his way.
If the races before hadn't, that one really lit a fire. It was like, I gotta do this. To go there and feel as good as I did, but have that disappointment was like, I'm just not gonna let it happen again. I think that led to me being just a tiny bit too aggressive, and that's what caused me to go down. So leading up to Sturgis, I'm going, if I get in the lead, which I plan on, I'm not gonna push it.
Ryan Sipes, the generalist, but specializing here at Buffalo Chip, he wins it for the 2nd year in a row.
Peoria so far looks super cool. I mean, I've watched it on video from the years past, and I knew after I watched it last year, like, I have to go there. That looks like the most fun track. The past 2 weeks getting ready for this, I didn't ride anything but flat track, and I feel good. I felt really good at home, and I know it's going to be a little bit of a challenge here just because it's faster, but I think if you're comfortable on the bike, you can adapt and you can figure things out. My goal for here, I mean, obviously I want to win. I think it would be great to be in the top 3, but if I'm that close, I want to go for it. I just want to learn as much as I can from practice. I've never ridden here, so the extra speed that we're going to have is going to be different for me. But I just want to watch everybody and kind of learn and figure it out and hopefully end up on top at the end.
Let's get to our AFT singles storylines with our semi. Chad Coase won a race this year earlier on the Suzuki in the lead, but moves wide, and that allows Dan Bromley underneath.
Dan Bromley would lead off of turn 4, but watch this, down the front straightaway, 3 wide Coase, Janish, Rispoli looking down the inside to try to take the lead.
Rispoli on that 71, nice move to take the measure of coast and then outduel Bromley, making it look good on that Honda. But Janish is not afraid to hang it out over the jump. Watch this, he takes the win. Rispoli, they've been doing a lot of development on that motorcycle. He ends up in second on the 71.
At Vance & Hines, the race shop, they've got a development program for the singles class, and they've been developing this 450 over the winter. They gave me a call. I've been doing a little bit of development on the other side, and so, you know, here we are. We're going to come race. Peoria is always one of those races where you need horsepower. This has got horsepower, so we decided that, listen, we're going to take a gamble, and we're going to test it for them and for myself and see if we can't win.
Semi number 2, so Ryan Sipes is out front, but look at the huge crash back there by Mikey Rush, third at points. Wheeling caution lights come out.
Mikey Rush gets it wrong into the corner. Huge wreck. Fortunately, he would get up and be okay, and they would go on to fix this bike so he could finish 7th and still make the main event.
That is a miracle. They got that machine fixed that quickly, and he was okay. Dallas Daniels, the rookie, is on the board, leading in this semi over Sipes, and then Gautier, your points leader, starts to roll up from third.
The 16-year-old riding like a veteran, showing the veterans how it's done. He would go on to win semi number 2.
And Gautier would finish third behind Sipes. So Daniels and Sipes, two riders that could potentially take points away from the riders battling for the championship. For more on Dallas, let's send it to Kristen.
For the first time in his career, Dallas Daniels is experiencing some adversity. He explained to me earlier in the day that all throughout his amateur career, he had won. He was on top. This is the first time in his pro career or in his career in general in racing that he's ever had to face challenges or obstacles like he's chased. He said that just even adjusting to the depth of talent in the pro class has been really challenging. But guys, tonight, Dallas Daniels has been on point. He is hitting his marks. He won his semi. He also said he grew up only 2 hours away from here. Family and friends are here in Peoria to watch him race. He said his dad also used to race here and gave him some valuable advice. He said, here you have to go high to find the moisture and be perfect with how you set yourself up. That is what he is looking to do tonight, guys. Be perfect in this main event.
And if he does, he and or Sipes, they're up front. Like I said, they're going to potentially rob points from our title contenders. Only 10 separating third place, Rush, second place here, Bromley, and our leader, Dalton Gautier, and a wild racetrack. This could be huge for the championship tonight.
It really could. When you have these TT races and you put wild cards in, like Dallas Daniels or Ryan Sipes, or even Jesse Janish, which is 4th in points, but won 3 TT races, these points leaders, they're a little bit nervous.
Yeah, and Rispoli was quick in the semi as well, so we literally have no idea what's going to happen. That was your Russ Brown starting lineup for our singles class. Here we go. Who is going to take it? The Peoria TT in the singles division. It appears to be anyone's ball game today. Janish, a good start to the 132. Sipes gonna edge them out into the first turn. Can he hold that low line? Just enough. No, Bromley wrestles it away. 2 Red Bull KTMs up front.
Bromley didn't have the greatest launch off the start, was able to go around the outside, stay in the throttle, in the loose start up there, and get good drive to take the lead.
Janish right there in the hunt as well. Now, I talked to Sipes before this, and he said the track is changing so much as it dries out. He's not sure exactly what to expect. Right now, looking good, in second behind Bromley. Big pass right here. Janish and Daniels going at it.
Dallas Daniels turns off the corner there, was in 4th just momentarily, gets to 2nd as he's going to chase down Dan Bromley.
Daniels, one of the most talked about amateurs in this sport in a long time, had to wait till his 16th birthday to even come race with us at the pro level, and he is on fire right now. All over Bromley for the lead and pulling away just a bit. He wants the #1 spot. Look at the kid go.
Seems like Dallas Daniels able to get into the corner a lot deeper on the brakes than everybody else around him, but able to get that Yamaha stop, turn, and get the drive off the corner. He has run down Bromley very quick here, looking under him. Oh, he's cleared him off of turn 4.
Unbelievable. Dallas Daniels from 4th to 1st in what, about 2.5 laps? Ken Bromley, the KG veteran, last year's champ, stay with the kid. To the inside, Bromley is sticking with him at least for the moment, and here comes one of the TT specialists, Jesse Janish. Looks like we're going to be in for a big fight here.
One of Dan Bromley's biggest strengths is able just to kind of pace himself early in the race. Even his riders seem to be faster around him. That second half of the race is where Dan Bromley starts to shine. Can he hang on to Dallas Daniels and be able to come back after him late in this race?
Rispoli has now moved into fourth, and he wants a piece of this battle as well. On that Honda we were talking about with help from the folks at Vance and Hines. Rispoli, a pretty good road racer in his own right. And the road racing riders, they know how to use that front brake. The left and right-hand turns, certainly not a problem for them. But right now, they're all following the 16-year-old Dallas Daniels, leading on the Estenson Yamaha.
This racetrack starts to change so much as we ride on. Dalton Gauthier, our points leader, the Husqvarna on board. But this track is changing with every lap. The last corner especially starting to get very rough. Dallas Daniels seems to be able to get that bike around the outside and miss all the holes.
Yeah, but that thing was getting a little sideways in the exit. So if you're Bromley or Janish back here, maybe that's your hope. A little mistake to allow them to close the gap or even pass him, because they're all in formation right now, but about 10 bike lengths behind the Yamaha rider.
Dallas Daniels, as we start lap number 7, consistently a half a second faster than any rider on the racetrack.
And we mentioned how these wild cards getting in here could affect the standings, and they are. Bromley would love to win this race. Whoa, and the feet off the pegs again for Janish, just like in the semi. But if you're Bromley and you're in second, you have Janish, Rispoli, a couple riders between you, and then Rush and Gauthier, who you're battling for in the standings. It's still a good run for Bromley. So will he let it all hang out to catch the leader or not?
As we ride on board the KTM here, Dan Bromley talking about those points. He's been smart all year. He hasn't been the fastest rider outright, but he continually starts earning those points. As we ride right now, all his competitors that he's battling in the championship are behind him.
Yeah, and he did win a couple races last year, but really the reason he won the title, the best balance of performance on all the different racetracks we go to, TT, short tracks, half miles, and miles. That's the Bromley specialty, good on any surface. But as happy as he will be if he makes up points, man, this is probably the closest we've seen Bromley to the front, but he's not able to quite match the pace of this 163. You know he'd like to get that victory today.
Yes, Dallas Daniels right now an over 2-second lead on Dan Bromley. We see Rispoli in the background. He's gotten around Jesse Janish for third.
Rispoli looking to put that Vance and Hines machine up on the podium. Well, we knew when you go to a completely different type of racetrack like this, you'd see different names battling for the lead and for the top 3. And that's the situation here in Peoria. Can Dallas Daniels at 16 years old win it? Stay with us. TT Racing takes skills from flat track and from road racing, so maybe it's no surprise that even though he's a rookie, Dallas Daniels is out front. He won the AMA Nikki Hayden Horizon Award for amateurs in both dirt track and in road racing, and he's putting all that to good use. He's obviously wise beyond his years because he has pulled away from Dan Bromley and the rest of the field.
Dallas Daniels with 3 laps to go. He's on cruise control. He's going to go out there and possibly win his first career race. You have Dan Bromley back there, going to score a lot of points, but can James Rispoli chase down Dan Bromley and steal some of those points away for second?
Yeah, so Bromley's going to have to fight for it. His championship rivals, Rush had a bad day because he had a huge crash in qualifying, was happy to just make the main. Not quite as strong either for Dalton Gauthier, so Bromley will make up points, but how many will he make up? Meanwhile, 4 hours later, only his 6th professional race, he looks over his shoulder. He's a lap and a half away from getting this done.
Just like the semi, looking like a veteran, Dallas Daniels rolls into the last corner, going to come off turn 4 here and see the white flag.
Well, you can't predict too much in racing, but I think it's pretty safe to say this could be the first of many for Dallas Daniels.
1 more lap to go in front of a home crowd. This is a home race for Dallas Daniels. He has a lot of family and friends here. What a way to get your first career victory.
Bromley, at this point, resigned to second, but depending on how this breaks, he could be the points leader, or maybe be in a tie with Gauthier. But the headline is going to be this. In just his 6th professional race, the kid wins. Dallas Daniels takes the Peoria TT. Oh, what happened to Rispoli?
At the line, Jesse Janish was able to nip Rispoli for that final podium spot.
He had a pretty good gap there. Don't know if there was a mistake or mechanical problems, But that's for the podium. What really counts is this historic win. Bromley congratulates Dallas Daniels on getting it. You know, there'll be a ton of friends and family to let him soak this moment in. Bromley's happy because he has made up a bunch of points. Gauthier is back in 6th, Mikey Rush in 10th. So let the victor have the spoils. Although it's gonna have to be non-alcoholic champagne tonight because he is just 16 years old. An amazing performance.
This phenom came in with so much hype behind him. After just 6 races, he backs that up, gets his first career win.
And congratulations all around to him. The Estenson Racing Yamaha team, they signed him knowing he would not be able to turn pro until the midpoint of the season. That's how much promise. Johnny Lewis giving him the big hug there. There's his teammate Jake Johnson in the front of the screen watching. He'll probably want some notes. Look at this. Even Mikey Rush giving him huge love here. And I think they know that he will be someone they're going to have to be reckoned with as the years go by in American Flat Track. And that's why this team wanted to sign him early. And he's off for a victory lap. There's Jake Johnson with the congrats. JD Beach, all his Estenson Yamaha teammates. And there it is, the checkered flag. Here are your results. As I mentioned, Gauthier in 6th. Sipes slips back to 7th. Said he was going to be chasing it as the track dried out. He did. Mikey Rush 10th.
It's all about Dallas Daniels. You can hear that raw emotion from a first-time winner, 16 years old. That's what American Flat Track Racing is all about.
And always a family effort. His dad is a mechanic on the team. And even the great Earl Hayden, Earl's racing team, going to give this kid some congrats. Let's send it to Kristen.
Dallas, this marks your first pro career win in the American Flat Track singles class. Just a moment ago, I spoke with Tim Estenson. He reminded me that he signed you sight unseen. And today you're able to race in front of your home state. You've got family and friends here. You told me earlier that you have to be perfect on this track. Did you feel perfect?
Yes, every lap on my Monster Energy Estenson Yamaha was just perfect and awesome. I had a few moments down there in 3 and 4 coming off, slipping a little bit, but it was perfect. The race was awesome. I didn't get the best start, but I knew I just had to be top 3 to get off with them, and Dan made a little mistake, and I was able to squirt underneath them, but I was feeling confident today, and to get my first win here in front of everybody, it's perfect. Going up the hills, everybody's swinging towels, yelling, they're all happy, but I mean, obviously my team is the one who's got me here, but really it's guys like Johnny Lewis who's helped me out, James Hart helped me out a long time ago, Wrong Meek, you know, just everybody who's been getting me here that's helped me through my young years, Huey Robinson, my father, my grandmother. It's just, we've all worked so hard to get to this point, and to get it so soon, it feels so good.
As for the points, it does not get closer than this.
Dan Bromley now tied with Dalton Gauthier for the points lead. Another podium finish. This is what Dan Bromley has done all year. Stay consistent, not make any mistakes, and now with 4 races to go, he is tied for the points lead. Let's send it down to Kristen.
Dan, Dallas Daniels was able to capitalize on a mistake you made early on. Take me through that pass, and how would you describe the battle between you and Dallas?
I know the biggest thing was the starts, and me and Dallas had great starts, but after the right-hander coming down the hill, there was a little notch on the inside. And for me, having the lead, the biggest thing was trying to keep the lead, and I thought that would be to stay to the bottom and go through the notchy stuff, but Dallas had a smooth line right around the top edge and went right around it, and he was able to square me up and get me. And the hardest thing was watching that one mistake I made basically cost me the race. I know me and Dallas rode a great race and about the same pace. Biggest thing for me right now is we left here with good points, and we're heading into, I believe, 4 more rounds, and the biggest thing is stay out front.
Looked like James Rispoli was out front in the battle for the final podium spot till a tire problem slowed him right here. Jesse Janis gets him at the line.
Jesse, on that final lap, James Rispoli got a flat tire. What were you telling yourself in that moment, and you had yourself right in position to finish on the podium tonight?
Yeah, he made a mistake with like 2 to go, and I saw it, and I just was trying to close the gap, you know. I didn't obviously know that he had a flat, but we came off the turn 4, and I saw him get all sideways, and I was like, huh. So he kind of like looked over, and I didn't know exactly what he was going to do, but I just caught the draft at the right time to get by. So it was a good main event. A little bummed to get 3rd, but we'll take it and we'll move on.
Yes, he won this race last year, but this time it's Dallas Daniels. The celebration continues for the Estenson Yamaha rookie. Can they win in the twins class? JD Beach. He's going to be hard to stop. He's already won 2 TTs this year. We'll talk to him next. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Well, this was wild. Our last TT at Buffalo Chip, Jake Johnson led the whole way. His teammate JD Beach got close, and then Johnson runs out of power right before the checkered flag. That's now 2 TTs, 1 for JD Beach. Also took the Arizona Super TT earlier this year, and he's fast on the ovals as well. JD can do it all.
I got my first win ever this year, so it was cool. And my second win was kind of like a surprise and a gift. And so for here, I mean, I'm trying to build off of that, but it's a whole new track. It's been a long time since I've raced here, so we're just trying to play it smart and kind of work into the speed. And for me, I'm really just taking it step by step. And I mean, of course, I do feel a little bit better on these tracks, and I think our bike is a little bit more suited for here. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, as Ryan Sipes, who rides with JD Beach, found out in the singles class, a little bit different this TT compared to some of the other ones. And the big crowd is on hand. They're going to see some history. But first, Dunlop Tire Talk.
Yes, the riders have had the choice between the softer compound Dunlop R5 and the harder compound, the R8. The riders have all chosen to go with the R5. The reasoning behind that, the racetrack and the tires have held up nicely. It's rained a lot, so the track isn't as abrasive as it has been in the past. Because of that, they are going to run the R5 and last all 25 laps.
Can Briar Bauman make it last? He was very good in qualifying in his semi. What about his brother Bronson? A showdown headed our way. It's the Law Tigers Peoria TT presented by Country Saloon, getting ready for our main event in the Twins class. Let's send it to Kristen Beat once more.
Briar and Bronson Bauman have both been dominant here today in Peoria, despite the challenges that these bikes are facing, partly because the lack of travel on the bike. The suspension just doesn't have the same give. They can't launch with the same finesse as the singles. He also said with how the track is deteriorating, especially moving into this main event, he is being particularly mindful on the approach for the jump. He said that you've just really got to be cautious and you have to be focused and paying attention. Bronson told me the same thing. He said that he grew up on kind of rough tracks, so he's confident, he's comfortable here. These are two to keep an eye on in this main event.
And also keep an eye on JD Beach, the road racer, good on the TTs, also fast in qualifying. As for Jared Mees, not normally a must-win race for him, but he's down to Bauman on points, so he's got to try to make the most of every situation that we have left this season. Here is your AFT Twins starting lineup.
And the challenge for Jared Mees is both the Bauman brothers have been on their game, winning the semis. They are going to be tough to go out there and beat.
So, the man who has won this race 14 times in a row, Henry Wiles, is not on the grid due to injury. Who will be the first to win here in quite some time? And the Bauman brothers, good start for both of them. Bronson on the 37 leads him in. Was he too hot into turn one? His brother, Briar, on the 14 underneath. And it's elbow to elbow, and Bronson takes the lead.
Bronson holds the throttle down on that factory Indian just over the jump, enough to take the lead. He's going to come off turn 4 and lead lap number 1.
Mees in a good spot. He is in third. Beach in fourth. And Jake Johnson, no slouch on these TT tracks either. He is in fifth. And it looks like Briar's ready to go after his little bro.
The last time these two raced bar to bar, Briar was a little easy on his brother. Will he be the same way this time?
Yeah, they've actually swapped it a few times. They've had a few 1-2 finishes now in either order, and whoa! That got a little aggressive. Briar saw an opening, almost touched.
The onboard Indian motorcycle, Briar Bauman, he leads into turn 1 here, being aggressive early, knowing that the championship's on the line. He wants to lead and win this race.
Oh, he's a little high off the edge of that corner, AJ. Was that the line he wanted, or was that a mistake? Because look at Bronson, he's right there.
I think Briar was a little nervous after he'd passed Bronson, that Bronson would come back and take it in really deep into turn 1, so Briar just stayed on the throttle and threw it in as late as he could.
Woo! And it got close again in that corner, and again here. Bronson Bauman not going anywhere. Couple of looks on the inside.
We see over the jump, Bronson hanging onto his brother's rear tire. He's been happy for his brother, for the success that they both had, but I feel like he's tired of losing to him.
Yeah, he's got one win this year. Well, man, and Breyer, mistake out of the corner. Bronson right there. Yes, Bronson has one win, but Breyer has multiple wins and the series lead. Gloves about to come off. Couple openings. Bronson not able to exploit it yet, but boy, is he close.
As these two fight and battle, we ride on board the SNS onboard with Jared Mees. These two, the Bauman brothers, are starting to gap Jared Mees, JD Beach, and we see Jared Vanderkoy there running fifth.
Yeah, looking good in that Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson. I think he just took the measure of Beach for fourth. Maybe he can make a run for the podium. Breyer keeps using that outside line, and this time Bronson's there and retakes the lead.
This time into turn one, Breyer just a little too deep. That's what Breyer is known for, throwing the bike into the corner, being late on the brakes. This time, just a little too far. Bronson takes advantage, back to the lead.
And a couple more mistakes from Breyer, but he still had the speed to get close. They almost touched again. If you're Mees or Johnson or Beach or Vanderkoy, any of those riders back there, maybe these two slow each other up or make mistakes battling each other. Could allow that pack to get right back in it.
I think that's the only way they're going to be able to stay in touch with these two. They've been so fast all day. Jared Mees already a second and a half back. He has to do everything he can to fight and gain some ground because he can't keep losing to Breyer.
I think it's happening. He's not close, but he's closer than he was as these two try to size each other up. And now you see Breyer Bauman a look over his shoulder. He doesn't want to see Mees get up on him. He's got to try to stretch that points lead. So how will he play it? How aggressive will he get with his brother and his teammate?
Jared Mees coming off of a victory last event in Sacramento Mile, but he has to put so many points in between himself and Breyer Bauman. This right now is not what he wants to see. As we see Breyer gets around his brother Bronson back to the lead.
Whew, that was a scary moment. The opening was there, but he wasn't sure how quickly Bronson would get to the line. They almost collided. Let's see if Breyer lets it all hang out and tries to pull away immediately. He could not do it the last time. He's going good now.
A great drive off turn 4 there. It's almost like Breyer said, okay, it's time. I'm dropping the hammer. I'm going to lay everything right here on the line. Can my brother hang with me?
And he smoothed it out. We saw a couple of mistakes when he had the lead before and when he was running in second. It's going to take perfect laps right now from Bronson to stay with Breyer, who has upped his pace. And they're starting to stretch it out from that pack behind them. Mees, Beach, Robert Pearson started to make tracks toward the front as well. Critical juncture for Bronson to try to stay in it against his brother, Breyer. Back on with Mees. Well, look, if he's not going to be able to get either of the brothers today, and that's fine, he's got to at least minimize the damage. Not going to be easy with JD Beach right on him.
JD Beach, Jared Vanderkoy in the background there. Jared Mees running a solid third, but guaranteed not where he wants to be.
So several different things to watch here. Breyer Bauman, I think we've already answered the question, can he bounce back when he has a bad race? He's done it several times when he's had bad luck, or in the case for our last race, he got beat straight up by Mees. Each time he has responded not just with a good ride, but with victories. And he's in position to do it here. We're about halfway through this. Breyer Bauman checking out from his brother and everyone else. 14 times in a row that we have raced here. Henry Wiles has won. He's not racing due to injury. Who's taking advantage? Breyer Bauman right now. Breyer Bauman with no one in pursuit. Could the Peoria TT be just another notch in the belt? This has been a dream season for him. Meanwhile, Jared Mees not able to shed the attack of JD Beach, who has been all over him basically the entire race.
JD Beach stalking Jared Mees. You got Jared Vanderkoy 5th, Robert Pearson 6th, so Jared Mees going to have to do everything he can to fight and not lose any more points to Breyer.
Brandon Price, the rookie, going a lap down to our leader, Bauman. JD there, that 95. Looking for an opening. Wants to take the podium spot away from Mies. And here you see the points as they run in the big box. That is your leader, Briar Bauman. And the inset, that's the onboard with Mies. This would be critical. He cannot afford to lose more spots.
Yeah, already down 35 points as they run right now. That's over a race and a half, basically, of points. 60 points for Bronson Bauman. Jared Mies, he can't lose any more points.
He's won the title the last 2 years, and really by domination. Now, Mies knew this was coming. Everyone was going to get stronger and stronger as that Indian motorcycle continued to be developed. But I don't know if anyone expected Briar Bauman to be quite this strong this year. Massive gains over where he was the last few seasons. His brother Bronson certainly better as well. He's all alone in second at the moment. Then we go back to that battle for third. Still Beach all over Mies. Back to the leader who has checked out. What a run.
Briar Bauman now has settled down. We saw him bouncing off the cushion, bike moving all around early in the race. With 19 of 25 laps completed here, Briar Bauman is smooth as ice.
Coming up on Roger Hayden. Good to see him back in action, but he is about to go a lap down. Bronson here awfully smooth in second on the factory Indian as well. Got a little close there with Hayden. How tough is the lap traffic out here, AJ?
It's difficult, but when you got a lead as big as Briar's, you can kind of take your time. If Bronson was still all over him, you'd have to start forcing the issue, but Briar can pick and choose where he wants to get around the lap traffic. No issues at all.
Yeah, the lead just keeps growing. Now, we mentioned the improvement. Unbelievable when you look at these numbers for Bronson. He's cut his average finish essentially in half. So they've gotten on the factory team. That certainly helps, but everything else coming together as well.
Definitely. Once you get to a factory team, you still have to step up your game. You have to be strong, and Bronson has shown that. And really, the second half of this season, we see him consistently running inside the top 5.
Briar through a few more lap riders. Bronson coming through here as well. You see Mies still strong in third. What Mies is hoping for as we get to the last couple of races, which are miles, that's where he does the most damage. And he did beat Briar at the last one. But remember, he was trying to slow up and hope that some other riders would get between them. That's what's made it tough. Even when Briar hasn't won, he's been pretty strong outside of 2 races where he had mechanical problems. So Mies got to hope to win these miles and hope that the 14 falters.
And that's the challenge when you have a 35 points lead like Briar Bauman has over Jared Mies as they run right now. It's not about just beating him. He needs a lot of riders, or hopefully some bad luck on Briar's part, for Jared Mies to catch up to him, and right now, we're not seeing that.
Mies still under pressure as we look at Bauman's stats, Briar Bauman's stats, same thing. He's essentially cut his average start and finish down nearly by half. And this is the coveted ride, the factory Indian team, putting both of the Bauman brothers. They were good, they had proven themselves, but I'm sure there are other candidates. Can't argue with who they selected. They have stepped up huge. 2 to go now for Briar Bauman, who again has answered the call. And look at this, Robert Pearson dive bombs past JD Beach for 4th, and he wants Mies for 3rd.
It is on for the podium spot. We know who the first 2 are going to be for the finishes. The podium spot, we see a 4-rider battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Pearson, an Illinois native, so he'd love to get up on the box here in his home state. White flag out for Briar Bauman. I think you're right, AJ. This is practically academic. You are just seeing an amazing ascension to the top of his sport by Briar Bauman, leading this thing, pulling away, further stretching the points lead. Every time he's dealt with adversity this year, he has bounced back huge. His brother Bronson, a good ride, but the drama is back there for the podium. He's on cruise control, Briar Bauman, right now. Here it is, checkered flag in sight. Briar Bauman takes Peoria. Bronson, 2nd. Look at this battle. Oh, Beach, Mies, Pearson. I don't even know who got it. That was wild.
I'm not really sure who got that. JD Beach looks like he barely beat Pearson and Jared Mies across the line, all while having to dodge the flag man.
Yeah, he got such a drive out of that corner, feet off the pegs. Meanwhile, Briar and Bronson are celebrating. It is going to go to Beach, that 3rd place spot, and it will push Mies in the last turn from 3rd to 5th. Vanderkoy was in the fight the whole time, ends up in 6th. Here is the rest of the field. Davis Fisher has been strong as of late, but 15th. I think I saw him on the side of the track late in this one. Here's the Motul move of the race.
We saw it early. Bronson and Breyer battling back and forth, but we see just right in the middle of the corner, Breyer says, I see an opening, I'm throttling up, I'm gonna take it. Leaned on his brother just a little bit, and from there he set sail and never looked back.
Yeah, they were a little more aggressive on each other in this one than they were in some of their previous battles the last 2 years, but it's all good when it's over. The brothers Bauman have gone 1-2 again. Breyer, the winner here at Peoria.
Breyer, this marks your 4th win this season, your 2nd win in 3 starts. What is it like to be battling for these wins with your brother in tow?
It's weird, honestly. I can't thank any motorcycle powered by Progressive enough for giving us each the opportunity. I say it, and I keep saying it because he keeps proving me right, but man, he's earned every bit of his spot on this team, and he's riding so well, and I think sooner rather than later, he's going to get the good end of one of these battles. So hats off to him. I can't give him enough credit. Can't say how much we're praying for Henry. This is kind of a weird win. I know how good he is here, and it's unfortunate he had an issue. This is his house. He's a king. So hopefully next year we're both healed up and we can go head-to-head.
You were particularly fast in turn 4. What was your strategy for that section of the track?
Survival. It was really, really rough, and I don't have that much grip strength right now, so just avoid bumps, and that's what we did all night. Bronson and I helped each other out, and we just avoided bumps. So yeah, I think that was the key to the game tonight, is just survival, go around the bumps the quickest, and go 1-2.
Well, it's unfortunate he couldn't fight Henry Wiles for it. Maybe next year. Breyer Bauman is the first man in quite some time to win at this historic racetrack. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Sunoco Go the Distance Awards standings. Bronson Bauman has compiled the most miles in racing, in qualifying, and practice this year. Jared Mees, Breyer Bauman, 2nd and 3rd in that division. But as far as the points are concerned, how about this? Breyer stretching it even more.
That last lap pass that happened to Jared Mees from 3rd to 5th, he lost 3 more points. That's a huge deal. Bronson Bauman, 60 behind his brother, but only within 22 now of Jared Mees.
Get 25 for winning a race to give you an idea of the scale. Let's send it to the podium.
Bronson, on the 4th lead exchange, your brother Breyer passed you for the lead, and in that moment, I saw a little let up. Did you do that intentionally?
Yeah, this track, it's known to claim people. First of all, I'm really happy that everyone made it home safe. Not too many bad crashes, but yeah, I knew I didn't have Breyer's speed, and getting into the right-hander and the quick left again, he was spotless through there. Or flawless, I'm sorry, and he just hit his marks every lap, and eventually after 5 or 6 laps, I was like, you know what, let's back down. I took a quick glance back and seen out of breathing room, and I was like, I figured, silver ain't too bad, so.
Do you feel like this is a year where you could maybe finish 1-2 in the point standings?
I'm really starting to believe so. I got something going right now, and it's all thanks to Indian Motorcycles, powered by Progressive. The bike's awesome, we're rolling, and I like being up here, so let's go.
Got to expect more of those. Yeah, they want that podium champagne, so that's why they were pressing Jared Mees for it, and then the last turn, he makes a mistake.
See here, riding on board with him, gets in a little deep. Robert Pearson throttles up, does a block pass on him, but because of that, loses momentum. JD Beach is able to get the run off the corner, clear them both, finish on the podium.
That was wild. Send it to Kristen.
JD, with exception to Daytona, you have podiumed in every TT start here in 2019. Today, a 3-wide battle for 3rd. How hard did you have to work for this podium finish?
Yeah, it was really hard. We struggled a little bit here, and I was a little worried about that just because these turns are faster and more flat. I didn't really settle in, but I was thinking maybe he'll make a mistake, I can get by. And I think with like 4 laps to go, Pearson just came flying by. So I was like, man, now I'm going to get 5th. And in the last lap, I tried to stay as close as I could to Rob. And he did the pass on Jared just like I had hoped he would. And I squared the turnoff and got a good drive, and then Rob was wheeling and coming over, and I wasn't going to let off the gas, and we kind of touched a little bit, but it was fun.
5 races remain, and 4 of them are miles. So Jared Mees, that's going to be his last gas. Win those miles and hope for the best.
Jared Mees' wheelhouse are mile racetracks. Briar Bauman, he's never won a mile. So he's going to have to go out there, I believe, win all 5 of them and hope something happens to Briar to have a real shot in this championship.
Well, it's racing crashes, mechanical failures, and championship pressure could affect it all. Dallas Daniels and Briar Bauman make history at Peoria. For AJ Elmendinger and Kristen Beaton, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching.